Card Sharks of Swift, it's Professor Gallagher, and in this lesson we're going to apply what we learned about Swift enums and structs to create a deck of cards. We'll do this a couple of ways. We'll discuss some issues around methods and return types. We'll create, print, and shuffle a deck of cards, and choose a random card. And after this lesson, we'll have everything set up so that we can incorporate what we've learned into a simple card playing app. Now, since we learned these techniques in earlier lessons, I'm going to present a few challenges. You should try those on your own, but right after I'll show you the solution, or in some cases, multiple solutions, introducing some bonus big learning along the way. Now, when working out how to construct enums and structs, especially when we want to experiment with populating a card deck and printing out values so that we can inspect and verify all that's working properly, a playground is often a better idea than creating a full SwiftUI project from the start. Now, if you want to build a full card playing app, hang in there. In the next lesson, we'll take what we learn here and incorporate that into a user interface, but first we need to create the data structures. So in Xcode, let's select File, New Playground, and we'll call this Card Deck. Now, being familiar with Xcode playgrounds, we know that sometimes it can take a long time for that first playground to execute, so I'll shift return to force the execution, and let's take a look at our first challenge. Create an enum named Suits for all the suits of a card: clubs, diamonds, hearts, and spades. Use an emoji as the value associated with each suit. Iterate through all the values in the enum and print as follows. The symbol for clubs is club symbol, etc. And in case you forgot, the way you can pull up the emoji picker is to type Control Command Space. So why don't you pause, give this a shot, and when you're ready, resume, and let's compare answers. And I'm going to drag the divider over to the right. I don't need to look at the results sidebar. I'm going to keep the import statement, but delete this variable, and we'll create an enum named Suits, enum, capital S Suits, colon, and we want this to be a raw value of string. That's going to hold our emoji, comma, and since we want to iterate through this, we want to make it case iterable, capital C, capital I. And between the curlies, we'll say case clubs equals, and between double quotes, I'll pull up my emoji picker, Control Command Space, search on clubs, double click that bad boy, then fill out the rest of this, and AI probably wants to help you. Then to iterate through all of these enums and print out the suits and symbols, we'll say for suit in capital S suits dot all cases, and between parens we'll say print. The symbol for string interp is string interp, first string interp is suit, second string interp is suit.raw value. That'll return the string raw value, which is our emoji. Clean up my error, this is looking great. But let's remember our functional programming. We can skip the for loop and print this using a single line with a for each method. We can say suits dot all cases dot for each, and between curlies, even better than retyping the print statement, we'll say print, and I'll show you the difference. I'll just copy and paste this print statement, but I'm going to replace suit with $0 and suit.raw value with $0.0.raw value. Ugh, and I typed too fast, so I didn't capitalize the C in all cases. But this works. Remember that $0 holds the constant that you're iterating on when you iterate through whatever it is you're iterating on, say an enum or an array. So in this case, the $0 is very similar to the suit constant that we use in the for statement above. Cool. So now that we finished an enum challenge, let's add a structs challenge. Create a struct named card that will hold three properties of a playing card: the suit, and which should use that suits enum that we just created; type, which is the number or letter for the face card, which would be the number 2 through 10 or queen, ace, etc. And value, in this case we'll assume aces are 1, 2 through 10 for the number cards, and 11, 12, 13 for jack, queen, king. Then let's create a variable lowercase card to hold a capital card struct and add the queen of hearts to it. Then we want to print it out like this. Q heart has the value 12. Pause, give this a shot, and let's compare answers. Now, some of you might be thinking there's an alternate way to do this. There are, in fact, many. After I answer this, I'm going to show you how we can create another enum for rank, allowing us to create a card that only has 2 stored properties. If you've got another preferred method, feel free to share in the comments. But for now, why don't we say struct, capital C card, and in between parentheses, we'll add the properties var lowercase suit colon capital S suits. You see the E in code completion, it knows we're using an enum as the type for this property. Then var type colon, that's going to be string. It'll be the emoji or the string equivalent of the number, and var value colon int, that'll be the numeric value for the card. That's it. Now let's create a variable card that has the information for the queen of hearts. We'll say var card equals capital C card. Since we haven't initialized any of the properties in here, code completion says that the only option we have will be if we provide values for all 3 properties. That's fine. We'll accept this. And inside the 3 properties, we'll say suit is .hearts, type is the string capital Q, and the value is 10. Now let's print the queen of hearts, so we'll print, and in between quotes, string interp has the value string interp. And those string interps are card.type, card.suit.rawValue, and card.value. Shift return to run this code, we get exactly what we want. Splendid. Now remember, instead of retyping this print line, we could also put this as a method of the struct. That's a function inside of the struct. So I'm going to highlight and copy the print, comment it out. Then inside the card struct, I'm going to say func print card, open and close parens. So I'm going to pass nothing in, open and close curlies. I'll paste in that print statement that I just copied. Now in this first string interp, I don't want to say card.type. I could say self.type because I'm inside of the card struct, but I don't need to. I can just say type. I'll get rid of the card reference in the other two string interps. Then down below, I can type our variable card dot, and look at this. I see m print card. That means we've got a method, a function inside the struct. It's got parens after it, even though we passed nothing in here because methods are functions and functions always have parens. So we'll accept this, shift return to run, and look at this. We get exactly what we want. Adding that function prevents us from having to repeat that line in lots of different places, and we get our method via code completion. Cool. Now I am going to show you something in a bit. I'll put a comment to the right of the print card function that says, note, this function returns nothing, i.e. it's void, so we won't be able to print it. And let me show you what I mean by this. The result you can get is sometimes confusing, and you don't get a lot of input from Xcode as to why you're getting these results. To show you down here, I'm going to say print, and then the string, the info on the current card is, and then inside a string interp, I'm going to say card.printCard with open close parens. You might think that's going to call the function and print out the line, but in fact what we're seeing are empty parens. How come? Well, the string interp calls a function and it's going to print out what that function returns. So we don't see the print statement inside the function, we only see what it returns, and it returns nothing, it returns void, so that's why we get empty parens. How do we fix it? Well, we could use a bunch of different techniques. Why don't we take a look at how we could use a computed property. Below our function, I'm going to create a variable var card_data:string, and in between curlies, I'm going to put the code that computes and returns some sort of string. I'll say return, and I can just copy the string that I have in the print statement above, paste it down below. Then in the string interp, I'm going to change my print card method, which returns nothing, to card.cardData, which is a computed property that returns a string. Now I get the expected value. Now I could also have changed the function to give it a return value of a string, and we could have used it in here. I think a computed property makes more sense though, but feel free to experiment with the other option if you want to. So now that we've got our card struct created, we want to create an empty array of those card structs, and we want to write code to populate all 52 cards in a standard deck. When we're done, we want to print out the cards as the suit emoji type value. And below I ask if you can perform this set of actions 13 times to create the deck. So I'll show you how you can create and print this, and then afterward I'll show you how we could create a rank enum. That'll allow us to rework the struct with 2 stored value properties. But first, why don't you try what we see here? Why don't you pause, give it a shot, and when you're ready, resume, and we'll compare answers, and I'll show you the bonus solution. So first I'm going to comment out the stuff that's below the card struct. We still have our enum and struct, and below this we're going to create an empty deck of cards with var lowercase cards : square brackets capital C card, and this equals empty brackets. And now let's populate the array. We'll use a for statement with this, for value in 1 triple dot 13, open and close curlies. That's because there are 13 cards, ace, 2 through 10, and jack, queen, king. And we can get our type from value. We'll say var type equals string interp, passing in the value. We could also use capital S string in parens value. And then to deal with the situation of the face cards, we'll say switch value, and in between the curlies, we'll add all of our cases. Case 1 : and in that case, type would equal the string capital A for ace. Case 11 : type equals J. Case 12 : type equals Q. Case 13 : type equals K. Now we've got to be exhaustive in here, so we're going to need a default : but since we properly set the value for any of the values between 2 and 10, we'll just say break. That means we do nothing, but we'll escape the switch statement. You've got to have at least one statement following default, even if it doesn't do anything. So now that we've got each value and type as we go through 1 and 13, we want to fill in all the suits. So we'll say for suit in capital S suits dot all cases. Then between curlies, we only need one line to create and add a value to our cards array. We'll say cards dot append, passing in capital C card. The suit is going to be suit, the type is going to be type, and the value is going to be value. So this does this once for each suit. Then let's print the deck for card in cards. In between curlies, we can just say card print card with our open and close parens. And look at this, you can scroll to the top and the bottom and you can see we've got all 52 cards created here from ace through kings. If you want to make sure you created them all, you can say print with a string total cards : string interp cards.count. Sure enough, 52 cards, nice. And we can also use functional programming for each with this, so I'll highlight and comment out my for loop, and down below we can print this with just one line, cards.forEach, and in between curlies, $0.0.printCard with parens. Same result, looking spectacular. This works because the stuff in between the curlies is a closure that will actually execute the function printCard. It doesn't print the returned value. But if you wanted to, you could also use that returned value in our computed property. I'll comment out this line, and below this we could just say cards.forEach, and in between the curlies, print, passing in $0.0.card_data. Lots of ways to get our results. Nice. But now I'm going to comment everything out except for the suits. And I'm actually going to highlight the suits, copy it, then comment it out, and then I'll paste a copy of suits down below. And let me show you that alternate approach that I mentioned earlier, where not only do we have a suits enum, but we'll also create a rank enum. So I'm entering this quickly, but just to be clear, we're creating a rank enum. This will prevent any incorrect card entries. The only thing you need is the suits enum that we created earlier, and we're going to create everything else fresh below this. So this is going to be a larger enum, but we're going to see that it gives us some safety features, and we'll need less code to create the deck. So we'll say enum, we'll call this capital R rank, : the rank values are going to be 2 through 10 plus ace, jack, queen, king, and each one is going to have a raw value, which is a capital I int, comma, and we want to iterate through this, so it's got to be case iterable. Then in between the curlies, we'll put in all those case values. Case ace equal 1, case 2 equals 2, case 3 equals 3, all the way through case 10 equals 10. Then case jack equals 11, case queen equals 12, and case king equals 13. Now let's create a computed property to return the type of the card as a string. So we'll say var type : capital S string, and between curlies we'll say switch self, and in between those curlies we'll say case.ace : return A, case.jack : return J, case.queen : return Q, case.king : return K, and the default is going to be : return the string with a string interp inside, raw value. So for 2 through 10, that's going to take the number that's the raw value and convert that to a string. So now let's create an alternate struct C card between curlies. That's why we want to make sure that we commented out the earlier card. We can have two structs with the same name. And here we only need two properties that have stored values. We'll say let suit : capital S suits, and let rank equal : capital R rank. So we no longer need value. It's the raw value of the rank enum. But to make things easier so we don't have to dig into this rank property, why don't we create two computed properties, type and value, that return the properties of the rank type. We'll say var type : string, in between curlies, we'll return rank.type, and here's the value, var value : capital I int, and in between curlies, rank.raw value. Did we absolutely need those computed properties? No, but by using them, I think they'll make our code a little bit easier to read. Now we can, of course, include a print card method with func print card, open and close parens, in between curlies, we'll say print, and the string will be string interp has value string interp, and the three string interps will be type, suit.raw value, and value. If you wanted to, you could create a computed property that showed the symbol for the suit that returns suit.raw value. Feel free to add that if you want to experiment further. But below we can see we can create a card, and it only requires two properties now. Let card equals C card. See, we only need a suit and a rank. The suit will be .hearts, the rank will be .queen. So this makes it impossible for anybody to create a card that's outside the 13 basic cards. That's the advantage of using the rank enum. Then below this we'll say card.printCard. The card prints out perfectly. But now let's build the full deck of 52 cards. And we'll see that even though we added more code with the rank enum, we need less code to create the card deck. So let's create that empty array of cards with var lowercase cards : in between brackets capital C cards equals empty brackets. Then let's go through all 13 ranks with for rank in capital R rank dot all cases. In between curlies, we'll go through all 4 suits with for suit in capital S suits dot all cases. So that will go through all 4 suits in each rank. And inside we'll simply say cards dot append capital C card, passing in suit for suits and rank for rank. That's it. We can make sure that we've got all the values in the deck by saying print the string deck size, string interp, cards.count. And we can print the entire deck with cards.for each, and in between the curlies, $0.print card with parens. Look at this magnificent ones. We printed out our deck. All 52 cards. Now let's kick this up a notch. Why don't we pick a card from a shuffled deck? Remember, if we say cards.shuffle with parens, we shuffle the card deck in place. That means we don't create a new card deck. We shuffle that original deck. So why don't we copy and paste this line of code below the shuffle so that we print out the whole deck, and above this we'll print out \n to give us a space so it's easier to see, shuffle the deck. Oh, and look at this. If we scroll up our output, we see just above the shuffled deck, everything's still in order, but below this in the shuffled deck, everything is shuffled. Now, if you want to pick a random card, well, since the deck is already shuffled, removing any card should give you a random card. So why don't we create that card that we're removing? We'll say var chosen card equals cards dot, start typing remove, and there are a bunch of remove methods in here. I'll just select remove first. Then we can say chosen card dot print card to show our card. And I'll copy and print the deck size down below this so we can make sure we've got one less card in here. And sure enough, now we've got a deck size of 51 after picking that random card, which was the 9 of spades. Nice! Now here's a little something to remind us what we learned about functions and return values. If we try to put in here above this a modified print statement that says print, and the string chosen card is string interp, passing in chosen card dot print card with parens. Remember, the string interp wants to take the value returned by this function, and this function, this method print card, doesn't return anything, so we just see empty parens. To fix this, we can do the same thing we did previously. We can head up to our card struct and create a computed property, var card data :string, and between curlies we'll return. I'm going to highlight and copy this string that was in the print statement in the function print card above. Paste it after the return, so we're returning a string here instead of printing a string. The function returns nothing, void, while the computed property returns a string. Now let's head down below, and we'll change the value in the string interp to chosen card dot card data, our computed property. And we now see very clearly when we run this again, the chosen card is the 8 of spades, and the card deck is indeed 51 cards. Excellent! So hopefully you found this a useful application of enums and structs. We looked at arrays of structs. We saw issues related to trying to print via string interpolation, a function call that returned nothing, but we saw how to fix this with a computed property. Why don't we pause here, and in the next lesson, we'll use the data structure goodness that we just created and load and display the entire card deck in an app in a scrollable grid, which sets us up to create a playable card game in SwiftUI. I hope you're enjoying our high quality lessons. Drop a like, stay subscribed, and keep hacking.